walk in the church and we'll be starving and hungry, but we'll never eat of which the table that He set. We will come in and we'll be so hungry for God. But yet when He sets the table up, we don't want to eat from it. We don't want to eat of the food that He's given for us. And it's because our hunger is not for God like the way it should be. You and I have to take our hunger for God to another level. We have to take our hunger, our passion, our desires to another level. We can't stay on the same level that we're on in our hunger. We've taken a step of faith. We've taken a step in our worship going to another level. But you and I should have a passion for God. We should have a hunger for God and His righteousness. And we should push away some things. And push away some other hungers. And push away some other desires. And instead of hungering and thirsting after those things, we should hunger and thirst after God and His righteousness and His glory and His Spirit and His presence and His anointing. Because there and only then can you and I be filled. When we hunger for Him. Hunger for God. Can you imagine going 5 days with no food? 5 days. No food. I'm telling you, no applesauce. No apple. Let me get off of apples. No orange. You can't have any kind of food at all. All you can eat or drink is water. I don't know if you can eat water, but you can drink it. You can try. But all you can do is drink water. You cannot eat any food for 5 days. You can say, Brother Hudson, I could do that any day of the week. Well, this is off subject, but have you? Have you done that and prayed and fasted? That's not on my subject, but I had to throw that in there. So let's say you try to go 5 days without eating. Imagine how hard that would be to go 5 days with no food. We would feel weak, we'd be drained, our body would be longing and hungering for food. We would hunger, starve for food. Well, it's no different in our walk with God. And sometimes we will go days without hungering for God. We will go days without starving for His presence. We will go days without praying and seeking the face of God and hungering for more of Him and seeking out what He wants us to do and seeking His wisdom and His anointing and His power. And you know what happens? You and I begin to starve spiritually. And we begin to wonder, God, why don't I see the things? And why don't I feel You like I want to feel You? And why don't I see the things that I want to see? And why didn't I see the miracles and things that I want to see? It's because we're not hungering for God. We're hungering for other things. And we're allowing other desires and other passions and other things that we're starving and hungering for to take the place of God. But the problem is all those things that we hunger for are going to leave a void in our life that nobody or anything else will never fill. Only God can fill it. Only God can fill the places in our life and the cracks of our heart that which sometimes gets broken. He only has the power to put us back together when we're breaking. Not man. Not yourself. And when you're breaking inside, you're breaking apart, and you're hurt, and you're devastated, and you're in fear, and you're in pain, you and I want to run to other things. I heard a man tell me, I get depressed all the time, so when I get depressed, I go eat. And I looked at him and said, yeah, I can believe it. He was in my family, by the way. It wasn't, it wasn't a stranger. And so sometimes you and I get depressed or we get upset. And so what do? We turn to the wrong thing. We turn to food. We turn to television. We turn to somebody else. Can you take this away from me? We go to a psychiatrist. Can you take this away from me? But the best psychiatrist that I know, and the best doctor that I know, and the best healer of a heart that I know is Jesus Christ. Because the void in our life that we need filling is not from any other person or any other thing. It's from God. We all have a void. We all have spaces in our life that we need filled. That doesn't mean that God can't put somebody in your life to help fill that void. Because when I wasn't married, I had a void in my life for a wife. And so God put that in me. But you see, I had to rely on Christ to bring me my wife. So I had to ask God to fill the void in my life. And He did. But you see, it was His will to fill the void in my life with her. And there's so many times in our life where we hunger for the wrong things, and we starve for the wrong things, and we have a passion for the wrong things. And we try to fill a void, or try to feel something, or heal our heart, or whatever the case may be, with the wrong things. We get weak. So I asked you a question. Can you go 5 days without food? I heard a story of a young man running a marathon. And he tried to lose some weight, so he went 7 days with no food. All he did was drink water. 7 days before the marathon started. To see if he could get more speed by being lighter and get more endurance so he wouldn't have as much weight. And you know what he did? He lost 15 pounds in 1 week. He didn't eat anything for 7 days. Sounds pretty good. He's lighter. He said he was faster. The day of the marathon, he lines up, feeling better than he's ever felt before. The guy shoots the gun. This is a 35-mile marathon. I'm sorry, 30-mile marathon. I want to get my story right. 30-mile marathon. He takes off. He's leading. He blew everybody out of the stop. He was just flying down the road. And on that marathon, nobody was even around him. He had so much speed because he'd made himself lighter. Well, mile 5, he started slowing down just a little bit. Mile 15, he started jogging. Mile 25, he started walking. Mile 29, 50 feet from the finish line, he collapsed. Why? Because his body was starving to death. And he couldn't finish his race. Because he had starved himself to death, he couldn't finish the course which he had started. You know what? That's a picture of you and me sometimes. We starve ourselves to death spiritually. And you and I are on a marathon for God. And in our walk with Him, we're on a marathon. And so many times we starve ourselves. And we get so weak and so drained that we don't ever feel like we're ever going to make it to the finish line. But let me encourage you. If you and I will just tap into the power source, that which is Christ, and hunger for Him, and eat on which